Good evening. It is the Thursday, May 22nd, 2025, and you joined the Easy Path Project live stream with me, Michael. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something really cool. What doors open when you align with your true self? The idea tonight is kind of like about authenticity and self-worth, self-confidence, being assured, that you spent some time thinking about who you are and why you are, the things that, your core values, the things that really matter to you. When you've established what really matters to you, and you kind of, you sort of insist, but like in a gentle way, but these are the things that you stand for, and these are the things you expect people to respect about you because you're that way. And you'll find that once you just get that little bit of structure to yourself, you'll find that it makes other parts of the growth that we're talking about here a lot easier. It's like you really have to become a pillar. You have to become a strong person who can say what they mean and mean what they say, and expect others to not necessarily understand it, but to respect it. A lot of people are just real wishy-washy. They'll do whatever the crowd says, or whatever's popular at the time, or whatever. I mean, humanity believes some absolutely just ridiculous crap that is like so not true. And people, at least on the face, they say they believe it simply because other people that they know say it, or the society says it. And even if they have questions about it, even if they have really strong doubts, they won't stand up for themselves. They don't want to be apart from the crowd. And so that is not a good characteristic to have. If you don't believe something, stand up and say it. What was it? The Hans Christian Andersen story, where he was talking about the young child in the emperor had no clothes, and all of the people were playing along. Oh, the naked king or whatever, his clothing is so fine, and everybody's like, he doesn't have, or the little kid is like, he doesn't have any clothes. It's like, because he didn't have that filter, like he's just honest. And one of the things I'm definitely going to be talking to you about a lot in the future is tact and stuff. And I've mentioned it a couple times, especially when I was talking about the Radical Honesty book by Brad Blanton. Being honest does not mean being rude. Like, you can be honest and be tactful. And that's really what it's going to come down to in the future, that you're going to, once you start to really feel good about who you are and what you expect, you're going to have to stand up for yourself. And when you stand up for yourself, you feel better about yourself. And that makes the next time you have to stand up for yourself easier, because you've got experience doing it. Anyway, so like I mentioned, what doors open when you align with your true self? Tonight's talk, we're going to be covering flexibility. So it enables you to embrace change, creating a resilient mindset. One of the things, that when I was messing around teaching older men how to improve their dating, I did spend a lot of time learning about like the PUA and the various different related mindsets like MGTOW and whatever. But with the PUA specifically, it's a lot of people who haven't developed their social skills or whatever, and most likely might be somewhat autistic or on the spectrum, and so they might not naturally move within, like, social dynamics or whatever, like a normal person might, like just the average person might. And so, sometimes you hear things like, oh, well, I've got to have, little lines to memorize. And then I need to think of a line to memorize after she responds to what I said. And then it just starts to be this long list, this like to-do list that you spend all this time memorizing. And it's like, when I talk about being yourself, this is another one of those things. If you're sitting there and trying to memorize some list or like a if then statement or whatever, like in a computer programming, and suddenly that somebody goes off script, then suddenly, what do you do? You know, now let's try the flip side of that. Let's say that you've just gone ahead and you've done the work. You started out awesome. You got kind of corrupted. You cleaned up the corruption. You made yourself all sparkly and shiny and brand new. And you realized how cool you are. And that helped you with your confidence and everything. And suddenly, when you're having this conversation with a girl, and she says something like totally out off the wall or whatever, something that you wouldn't have expected, it's not going to throw you off. Like you're just going to, okay, what do I do next? I'm listening to the girl. She says this. And so that means the conversation is going to go this way. So let's follow it. And like I said, because you're responding correctly, she's going to respond correctly to you. And then the conversation is going to go great. So you don't have to necessarily hold on with a death grip to this script and hope it, conversation or the encounter goes to the script, because I almost guarantee, it's not going to happen. Uh, there's various different flavors of this quote or whatever, but I believe Mike Tyson was the one who said, like everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. It's like, okay, well, you can go into this situation or this encounter or whatever, and you can have an idea of what you want to do or what you expect to do. But if it doesn't happen, well, you just, maneuver, you navigate it skillfully and smoothly and get on down the road. True self expression aligns you with your core values, boosting confidence. This is one of the aspects of that I mentioned a moment ago. It's like, okay, well, so you have your core values, you're a certain way, and then express that. Like I said, you don't have to be all loud and boisterous and whatever, and wear your feelings or your core values or whatever on your chest. But once you start displaying these, I mean, just simply by the nature of you having a stronger, internal frame, it's going to make it a lot easier to feel confident in expressing the core values that make up that frame. And it's just like I talk about on everything. There's like exponential growth from it. It's like, well, once you're confident enough to express yourself, then you become more confident. Almost everything I tell you is going to be similar to that. It's like none of this should be a surprise. And I was listening to a talk today on the Healthy Gamer uh, YouTube channel, and I really enjoy listening to that. It's a lot of guys his discussion is for guys who don't have a lot of luck with dating or with interpersonal communication or a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, they got a lot of issues, and he helps them work through it. So if that sounds like you, healthygamergg.com or YouTube channel is who you want to check out. But this doesn't have to be difficult. It's like that's one of the things that he's talking today about, these people that are like all doom and gloom about so many different things. And it's like none of anything that I'm going to tell you is going to be difficult at all. And because we're talking about getting better, we're not talking about you being bad and getting good. We're talking about you being good and getting rid of the bad that you've picked up along the way. It's a subtle little shift, but I want you to understand that all of this stuff is going to be super simple and super effective, and it's going to affect you exponentially. So once you do one little thing or ease into one of these ideas, each of these others is going to to just flow from that. The last idea we're going to be covering this live stream is reducing inner conflict. It paves the way for greater joy and fulfillment. Like I said, a lot of people are really wishy-washy, and or they just adopt the consensus view, and so you're not authentic, you're not real if you're being that person. So sometimes you can have, like for instance, this is not necessarily that, but I mentioned last night about how, if you're not congruent, like if you give off um, a vibe, or not a vibe necessarily, because your vibe is actually more honest, but like let's say you give off I'm going to have to step back and think about that later, because I don't want to just like run through this like a speed run. I really want to get deep. Anyway, the point is that reducing inner conflict paves the way for greater joy. Like you're, torn, thinking about one thing or another, or putting up with somebody that is doing something that you don't think should be done, and they are gonna want to do it or whatever. It's like you just won't have any question about how you're going to deal with that in the future. So the title for tonight's live stream is Strong Inner Game Outcomes, Part 3. We'll be talking about flexibility and true self-expression. Actually, before I do that, I was hoping that there was another slide, one that I had to tell you about the live stream. Yeah, there we go. So the live streams that we're having, that you are watching right now, I try to have them every single weeknight, Monday through Friday, around 7:30 p.m. Central. They're really going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, right now, all these live streams, I'm just getting started, are basically practice and basically me training YouTube, what this channel is all about. But I'm expecting something really interesting to come along down the pike once we start having conversations between ourselves. Like, once we get a group in here and start to have some fun, that's really when things are going to take off. Anyway, and so definitely you're invited. Please show up and chit chat and let me know what you're thinking. Also, I've started putting all of these live streams into a playlist, so you can actually watch them. You can watch them if you've missed them. You can go back and watch them. You can watch from the beginning because, like, for instance, tonight's program is part 3. So you can go back and watch the last couple nights and get a much better understanding of what I'm talking about, and how you can apply these things. Okay, so flexibility, like I said, a lot of times, whether you're stuck in your ways or you're stuck in your ways of thinking, like like you've got a mindset about who you are or how you are. And it's one thing to to form that consciously. Like if you spend the time to sit there in a quiet room in a comfortable chair with the TV or the phone away somewhere out, and just kind of ruminate, kind of thinking about who and what it is you want. And that's really what's going to lead to these first movements, towards what you're wanting to achieve, what you're wanting to accomplish. Tonight we'll go down the list once again. I'm doing us both a favor tonight, and I'm reading off the notes I've taken, so I don't have to sit here and try to remember what I'm talking about. And you don't have to sit there and listen to me fumble around trying to remember. I've got it right here for you. So without any further ado, the first aspect of this is adaptability to change. You'll be more comfortable and effective when facing new circumstances. For example, like if one of the very first things you always hear about, like always, 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 when it comes to trying to date, or guys, trying to meet girls or whatever, is the ability to approach. They call that approach anxiety. Like that'll kind of fall away. Like right now, part of the reason, why you might think that that you have a problem with talking to women or whatever, is that you're not good enough, or you're not whatever, or you're competing with guys that have more better looks or more money, uh, bigger Johnson, whatever. I mean, all of these things, but that's really all going to just kind of fall by the wayside. And so what you'll find is, once those considerations that are just false things that are in your head kind of fall by the wayside, that the things that you do have to do, like talking to a girl, or geez, or just anything that you might have to deal with, with work or whatever, or school, with your friends, like anything that might be changing, you're just going to find it easier to deal with it. Number two, openness to new ideas. You'll be more receptive to different perspectives and ways of doing things. Once again, if you're not in a situation where you feel bound to handle things a certain way, that you can be adaptable. And that even includes what I'm talking about earlier, like sometimes even though you are kind of strict about who you are and what you expect out of people, and you don't necessarily have to come down hard on somebody because they transgressed you or whatever. You can be flexible in that. You can be open to the idea of this or something. It's like you don't have to just shut it down. You'll be open. Now, that doesn't mean that you might not have to correct the situation, but I mean, at least it's you're open-minded. Number three, increased creativity. Being flexible allows you to explore different approaches and solutions. Yeah, you try different things. I keep mentioning the going to the next town over or whatever to practice. I mean, that's one of the things that I would think would be good for just anybody. Just go to another place, someplace that it's not going to get back to your like real life, or whatever the life you have established in your town or your neighborhood or school or whatever. Just go somewhere else, try some other things. Be creative. Figure out ways. Like I mentioned, this live stream for me is a 30-day challenge of sorts. It's like I'm trying something new. I'm trying to be able to develop the ability to speak to a camera, to an audience. And I had some people drop by here for a little while, and but they split. And so I still got to work on maintaining an audience, keeping them entertained. But when you're creative, when you're trying these new things, like the 30-day challenges or whatever, that gives you an opportunity to go out and find out what works, and also what doesn't work. It's like I think that was the quote that Thomas Edison made about the light bulb. Like somebody was trying to troll him basically about, oh well, you tried 10,000 different things and none of them have worked. He's like, well, I know 10,000 ways it doesn't work. Like the next one that I try, that's going to be the one that works. And ultimately, he was correct. And as you can see the, with the lighting around me, he was correct. So, just be open-minded and be creative. Like, think of this as an opportunity. Like, sometimes people feel really stuck. You feel like you're in a rut. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to get out of it. It's like, okay, well, start by changing like who you are and making your life better and finding an easy way to do it. All of these things that we're talking about right now are going to be easy ways for you to integrate this into your life. Number 4, reduced frustration. You'll be less rigid in your expectations and more accepting of what is. George Carlin, in one of his comedy routines, he was talking about, now that humans have invented plastic or whatever, there's a new paradigm, Earth plus plastic. It's like, it is, the Earth has plastic now. And so, what do? Well, you just keep on going on and you incorporate this new aspect of life. In a lot of ways, that's how, like, dealing with modern dating is. It's like, on one hand, you've got to deal with the way that things are. Like, at this time, dating apps or TikTok or all these different things are starting to really kind of muddy the waters. People really don't know where they stand or, even what they're looking for. And so, on the one hand, okay, yes, you got to deal with that. On the other hand, like, humans have evolved, if you believe in evolution, that they've evolved um, to be what they are today over like a great, great amount of time. And it's like, even though you might think that, like, there is this new paradigm or whatever that it's the girl plus TikTok or girls plus Tinder or whatever. It's like that's kind of false. I mean, it's just like an overlay of like what really is there. And it's like, that's one of the things that you'll find is that if you're creative and open to new ideas and adaptive to change, that you'll be able to navigate these interactions with these girls, and that will lead to reduced frustration. Like, you just won't be so bent out of shape thinking about, oh, well, I want to have a dating relationship just like my grandma and grandpa had, or even my mom and dad. Like, on one hand, those kind of things are sort of gone, but on the other, you can still have the things that hopefully led them to last for, to have a long relationship. And yeah, so that's when you talk about that kind of stuff, it's just basically like, just don't allow yourself to get bent out of shape about it. It's like, it sucks. I've got a buddy who talks about like the 80s and video games and stuff from the 80s, like video game arcades and stuff. And like, he wants to, to kind of reminisce about that and stuff. I was like, well, unfortunately, like, that's gone, like, it just doesn't exist anymore. So you do kind of have to, you can remember it fondly, but then move on. It's funny. Yeah, I have these live streams and I start talking about these things and I start going down these like mental rabbit holes. And it's like, I'm certainly looking forward to talking about your stuff rather than me bringing up all these things. As much fun as I have remembering some of them, I'd much rather, talk about new stuff with new people and have some fun. Okay, improved problem solving. You'll be able to consider a wider range of solutions. Like I said, I mean, sometimes you got to be hard. Sometimes you can be a little softer. You can adapt. You can be resilient. You can be giving or whatever. It's like, you'll figure out the way to do those things um, as you ease into this inner game growth. And so that's like I said, if you look at this list, I mean, that list alone, just page one, when we still got 15 more things to talk about, but that's enough to make this worthwhile. Like I said, as easy as I'm talking about it being, like, you just got to be ecstatic to think of what's going on here. Okay, next one. Stronger relationships. You'll be more understanding and accommodating of others' needs. A lot of guys, like when they get into the idea of dating or whatever, like everything that they think about is like focused back on them or whatever. And it's you know, I talked about like being a performing monkey the other day, but you know, you might have heard the term the happy wife, happy. I stomped all over that. Happy wife, happy life. And that is so true. Like if you think that you're gonna, you know, just be able to get into a relationship with a girl, it's just like, you know, the same with girls. We'll get to that some other point, but let's talk about the guy part of it first. But it's like the mentality of women is like, you know, they constantly need some kind of stimulation. And I know you're not supposed to talk about this kind of stuff, that, you know, that men and women are supposedly exactly the same and blah, blah, blah. They're not, you know. If you sit there and think about who's, you know, eating up social, who's eating up TikTok or whatever, it's women. It's because they constantly need to have something to sort of entertain them. And so once you get to the mindset of like, you know, I can still be a strong person and I can still be myself and whatever, and, you know, have in my mind, like, okay, well, this other person has needs, wants, considerations, desires, hopes, dreams, etc. And so you got to be fulfilling those things. It's not like that you're going to be a simp or a wuss or whatever because you're doing that. It's because, you know, hopefully this is going to be a person that you have a relationship with, that you care about how they feel and you want to make them feel great. It's not like, you know, that you should just go all out to do all they want, and then she anything that she wants, and then you know, keep that in mind. Like, okay, you know, if I cook her dinner or whatever, how's she gonna feel? Or, you know, if I just, you know, treat her like every other guy, how's she gonna feel? Well, you know, if once you start to be like the awesome kind of guy that hopefully the awesome kind of girl that you've got gets with, that you know, you're going to consider things like the stronger relationships because you're trying to make them happen. Like I said, I walk around, or I go in these little loops right now for something so simple. We spend a lot of time discussing it, and so I want you to understand that like none of this is hard. Like guys that just sit there and beat themselves to death trying, you know, to do personal development and trying it the hard way. And it's like, it doesn't have to be hard. It's like, you're not doing anything, you're actually removing things. And one of the things that you're kind of removing is like this self-centered approach to a relationship. It's like, you know, it's got to be 50-50. You've got to be able to, you know, manage your own considerations, and also you know, consider her considerations. And if you go 50-50 into a relationship, um, it's going to make it a lot smoother. Okay, greater resilience. You'll be able to roll with the punches and adapt to unforeseen events. We've talked about that in a couple different ways. You know, the resilience of, you know, of like kind of rolling with the punches if a situation changes or evolves differently than you might imagine. But also, like I said, several times over the last week or so, we've talked about emotional resilience. You know, dealing with things like breakups or arguments or ghosting or being ignored or whatever. There's all these things that can happen in a in a relationship or a budding relationship or a hopeful relationship, and you can't let those things when they go bad, if they go south, it's like you can't hang on to it. It's like you got to let it go. Um, it's just going to make it easier the next time. It's like, okay, well, last time sucked. This is what went wrong because I evaluated it. Like, and you don't attach a value to these things. And once you get beyond that whole attaching value to stuff, it's like, okay, well, if I go up and say hi to a girl and she takes a liking to me, that's awesome. And if she doesn't, well, this is an opportunity for me to figure out what went wrong and make sure the next time I approach a girl, it goes awesome. Enhanced learning. You'll be more open to acquiring new knowledge and skills. Yes, like once you start being open-minded and start looking for ways to improve yourself or to to make things easier for you, you'll start to also kind of use the things that you've learned, for personal development. You will be able to apply them to other aspects of your life, other situations. You will learn things about yourself or you'll learn things about other people that you can apply that will make it easier for them or make it easier for you. Increased opportunities. Your willingness to adapt can open doors you might otherwise miss. And this was kind of the thing I talked about last night, like with the, if it's like a scenario, if you were an sort of an introverted guy or whatever, but you start working on yourself, you start letting go of the crap that you've been, beating yourself up with, since you were a little kid or whatever, or something that somebody, your mom might have said, or one of the kids at school might have said, or whatever. Um, you just start to let that stuff go. And then as you start to develop yourself, you'll find that you move through the world differently. The world kind of responds to you differently. And suddenly, things that had kind of seemed foreign or maybe like unobtainable for you suddenly are not necessarily foreign or unobtainable or whatever, because like these new opportunities are starting to present themselves. For example, like just one simple one, I talked about the home math channel. Um, you know, he considered himself a four. He wasn't getting girls. He went to the gym. He considered himself an eight. Got lots of girls, and it was simply because he had taken the opportunity to improve himself, at least physically, and then suddenly that opened the door. Simply going into a gym and lifting some heavy weights and sweating a little, and suddenly one thing led to the next, and so that's kind of where, if you think about how this Easy Path project is going to work out for you, that's going to be the thing. You're going to take one little step. That one little step is going to pay off enough that you're going to keep adding next steps, next step, next step. And suddenly you're going to have a string of victories. That string of victories is going to make you feel better about yourself. You're going to head high. You're going to pull your shoulders back. You're going to have better posture. You're going to look people in the eye. You're going to feel better about yourself. You can be confident in who you are. Good goodness. Yeah, I just can't imagine what it's going to feel like for you to experience that, maybe for the first time. A lot of people, like I said, they just either let the world beat them down or they beat themselves down, or it's a combination. It's a tag team, and both the world and yourself beat you down. It's like, or you can choose the other option, which is the easy path, and have a good old time. And that's what the last part here is: a more peaceful existence. Letting go of rigid expectations can lead to greater harmony. Like I said, you can have expectations, but it's like, in the sense that, like, that, if you go up and talk to a girl or whatever, that she has to act a certain way or a certain thing has to happen. It's like, no, not necessarily, but it could be like that you're just planting a seed or whatever. So, maybe if, even if you didn't get the desired result this time, maybe you're moving forward towards that result, or even better result. So, you'll just feel more comfortable with the outcome. And it's like, okay, well, I'd love it if this worked out great. If it doesn't work out great, well, we'll take what we get. We'll deal with that, and we'll make the next step better than this last one. Okay, let's see. Since I didn't do my slides correctly this evening, I bet I've got a surprise coming next. Let's see, what's the next surprise? Oh, hey, it's live streams. Like I said, this is a live stream, and although I see people popping in and out all the time, I have not had anyone say hello yet, and I'm really looking forward to that. Like I mentioned last night, this isn't so much a situation where I'm just going to sit here in a live stream and tell you what to think or how to think, be, or how to act, or any of that crap. It's more like I want to start having an interaction. Um, I'm hoping to get a bunch of guys who have similar ideas, or maybe at different points on this journey that I'm on, or whatever. I want people to kind of bounce ideas off. I've got some things that I've been thinking about that I can't share with just anybody, but if I can find the right group of people, and make sure that you're all thinking the same way I'm thinking, then, or at least like that we're all on the same page, that it's going to make it a lot more entertaining to see where our thoughts go. I mentioned last night, I mentioned often, it's like, just like you, or just like anybody, it's like, sometimes you only come at things from a certain perspective. And if you keep coming to that perspective, it's sometimes difficult to change because you're kind of stuck in the same groove or whatever. And so, it's totally different if I'm sitting here coming towards this from one direction or whatever, and you might be coming from a totally different direction. And then kind of we meet right here, and it's like, okay, well, hey, that gives us an opportunity to bounce ideas off of each other, and maybe make something even better out of it. Like I said, I don't think I know it all. I'm definitely hoping that some of the questions or some of the ideas that I have, that the people that I bring together here in the Easy Path Project live streams is this group that I'm hoping to pull together. I'm hoping that you're going to help me through some of the situations that I'm dealing with. So definitely show up and let's chat and have a good old time. And like I mentioned, watch the replays in the live stream playlist. Okay. So moving on to true self-expression. Number 1, increased authenticity. You'll live in alignment with your values and beliefs. Like I said, once you start to form those ideas, or once you start to solidify them, I mean, as you go about your day, you have things that you think about, or like you just, intuitively know that that's your opinion, or that's your belief, or whatever. once you start to feel good about those, and you'll know that they're right. I mean, like, because that's why you're trying to develop the idea anyway, is to get the right idea. And once you start, kind of laying down the ground rules or whatever of how you're going to be, it's going to make it easier for you to actually be that person. It's like, because you know who you are, you know what you're trying to do. That leads to the next step here, which is stronger sense of identity. You'll have a clearer understanding of who you are and what matters to you. I mean, think about it. Like, the people that that you trust in your life, or whatever, the people that you go to, because you expect them to respond in a certain way. If you take a certain thing to them, you expect to get a certain viewpoint or a certain result or whatever. And that's how it's going to be people with you. Like, once people know who you are, once you've established who you are, then when people come to you or when people interact with you, they're going to expect you to be that way. And if it's a strong person, then you're going to get the feedback that a strong person would get. More meaningful connections. You'll attract people who resonate with your genuine self. And this is one of the little woo-woo things, but I've talked about it a couple of times. Like, some guys, what was that joke in that Starsky and Hutch movie, where Ben Stiller asked Owen Wilson, he's like, do you prefer the blonde or the brunette? And Owen Wilson says, I'll take the blonde. He's like, good, I'll take whatever I can get, or whatever. And it's like, I think that's how a lot of guys go through their life. They're like, okay, well, if a girl shows up and, and she's cute or whatever, and she's, sort of into me or whatever, like, I'll just go with her. It's like, okay, well, is it because, like, that you're a good match, or is it just because, like, she settled for you or you settled for her or whatever? I mean, the flip side of this, and this is the woo part that I was talking about, it's like, once you start really establishing who you are and what you stand for, part of that can be is like, what kind of woman I want. Lots of guys say, I want a traditional wife, and I want, somebody that will take care of my kids and be a strong, member of the family to do. When you become the person that would attract that kind of girl, right? Or the like, so, like, even if you met that girl tomorrow, like, if you haven't done this inner game refinement that I'm talking about, it's like, would she recognize you as being the guy, for her? Like, if you guys could be a perfect match, except maybe you're not on the same level yet, right? So the idea behind that is that you want to become the stronger man and start attracting the women that you want, rather than just, accepting whatever comes along. And it will happen. Like I said, it's really crazy how that works. It's like, sometimes you have to take the first step. And, my mind keeps going back to that healthy gamer discussion today. Like, where they're talking about it like, that you have to do stuff to be, developing yourself personally or whatever. Personal development is not a struggle. It's not like a routine you have to do at the gym. I mean, it can be really easy. And like I said, because it's not that you're having to add something to what you are, it's that you're removing stuff. And the stuff that you're removing is the stuff that's going to keep you from attracting what you want. Like, if you're carrying around all this stupid crap that is no longer valuable to you or never was, it's like, once you ditch that, and then boom, like, just this, like, light will, like, emanate from you or whatever, like, how cool you are. And like that Luxor hotel in Las Vegas or whatever. It's got that big light that shines. And so, like, if anybody ever wants to find the Luxor, they just look for that light and head straight towards it. Well, like, if you're giving off the light of being this cool person, um, you're going to attract people who are into cool people. Trust me on this. Okay, let's see. Enhance creativity and innovation. You'll feel freer to share your unique perspectives and talents. You just, the point will come, where you don't have to feel like that you have to live up to anybody else's expectations or any other opinions or whatever. It's like that stuff just does not matter. I mean, if you think back, like, you might be young. I mean, for whatever reason, my channel attracts a lot of young guys. So this might be fresh in your minds or whatever. But the the crap that goes on at school, and you just want to fit in. And it's like as you get older and you look back at the things you said or the things you did as a younger person, and sometimes they can be pretty ridiculous, and you can feel kind of silly that you ever were that way. Well, that's part of growing, whatever. But as you kind of grow into this new persona that you're developing, this stronger, more confident person, then you'll just feel confident expressing yourself, the things that you believe, or the things that you feel, or the things that you want, or whatever. And once you're more honest about that, it's a lot easier to when you express like who you truly are. People will respond differently. Okay, yeah, increase self-confidence. Like I said, once you start being honest, like, you don't have to worry about what the outcome is going to be or whatever. Like, first of all, you're going to be able to deal with it, and second of all, who cares? It's like, as long as you're tactful and honest and kind, and, you know, um, you'll find that a lot of things that you're afraid of aren't really as harmful as you might imagine. Okay, we're in the home stretch. Uh, True self expression, part two. Reduced inner conflict. You'll experience less tension between your inner and outer self. Yeah, you won't have to pretend anymore. I mean, and if somebody doesn't like your opinion, um, or whatever, it's like you just deal with that kind of stuff, right? The resilience, the the emotional intelligence, or whatever, of understanding. If you, like I said, I'm starting to blend these ideas together. But let's just leave that one right there, the reduced inner conflict. The idea is that you'll experience less tension once you become congruent with who you are. Like, once your inner self and your outer self are the same, that's going to make it a lot easier for you to go through life. There's going to be less indecision. You're just going to be able to say, okay, well, this is what I believe, therefore this is what I'm going to do. Bingo. It's like, well, if it works out, awesome. If it doesn't work out, well, we fix it and we move on down the road, right? Okay. Greater joy and fulfillment. Living authentically leads to a more satisfying life. If you're honest, and people treat you the way, like, okay, it's like, I am this way. And if people treat you like the appropriate way for that, for that characteristic or whatever that you're showing, it's like things are going to go better. Like, you're going to have more fun. You're going to be more joyful, more fulfilled. Like all of these things that could seem kind of fake or false or incongruent or whatever will no longer really be an issue anymore because you're being honest, and that leads you to the greater joy and fulfillment. Improved communication. You'll be able to you'll be able to express your needs and feelings more clearly. If you're having to sit there and kind of juggle, like, well, what does this other person think, and what does society think, and what does this school think, and so you're juggling all these considerations, and when you're in a communication, like when you're in a conversation, for instance, and you're having to worry about all these considerations, well, you're just going to come out sounding wishy-washy or flip-floppy or kind of insincere or whatever. But if you're honest, then you just say what the honest thing is. And like I said, if you do it tactfully and you be kind, learn that as a skill, right? Figure out how people respond to stuff that you say. That's another learning opportunity. If people don't react well, don't take it as a personal affront. Look at it as an opportunity to figure out what the heck went wrong. Okay, well, if I say something and it doesn't go over well, dissect that interaction, figure out what the hell it was you said and why somebody reacted in, uh, poorly to this. And then the next time that you get an opportunity to be in this situation, you've already evaluated like what happened, so you can extrapolate that and apply it to the next interaction, next situation, to make it a lot easier. Increased courage. It takes courage to be yourself, and this strengthens your inner resolve. Actually, I mean, unless you have just like totally off the wall ideas, like things that are just like so out there. Um, this is a pretty open-minded time, right? We have conversations about how many genders there are, right? So it's like, there's that old joke about, how far can you open your mind before your brain falls out? It's like, we're in a time period where, it's not so rigid and stamped down or whatever. It's like, you can have other opinions or other ideas. Like you don't have to worry about what other people think or say or do or anything. You just go about your own thing. If you feel good about it, uh, then you are going to feel good about it, right? And you're not going to allow anybody else's opinion or anybody else's. Um, yeah, I mean, you're just not. There's a couple of different things that I talked to you guys about how I just don't have any problems discussing things. I've got some just totally wild, outlandish ideas and stuff. For the most part, I own them. Like I'll make a joke about them if it's like the other person's going to be all serious about it, and whether I'm serious or not, like I'll make a joke out of it just to make it fun or playful, or I'll still say it or whatever, but I'll make it kind of playful and funny. So it's like it's not like an affront or whatever. It's just like a observation or whatever. Anyway, and so that's another thing that you'll find how to do. It's like once you start developing your communication skills and learning how to express yourself, you'll be able uh, to express yourself in ways that aren't like sharp or strong. Like you can attenuate the way um, that you say things or that you do things or whatever, that will be less, like I said, less of an affront. I'm certain there's some other way that I could say that, but that's what's sticking in my head right now. But like I said, it's all going to get so much easier once you start to feel better about yourself and allow yourself to feel better. Okay, finally, a deeper connection to yourself. You'll have a stronger sense of inner knowing and self-awareness. This all starts with where you just looking into yourself and thinking about who you are and what you want. You know, sometimes you hear in some of the more woo-woo kind of personal development stuff, you know, they talk about a wish board or something, or they'll take like a cork board or something, and they'll start sticking up pictures of like cars and mansions and beaches and yachts and all these crap things. And so like they're like, okay, I'm going to work towards this, and I'm going to align my mind to help me to achieve these goals of having these things or owning these things or whatever. It's like, okay, well, I personally think those are kind of silly, but I like the idea of like, you know, for yourself, let's say, you know, like for the personal development you want, you would say to yourself, okay, well, I'd like to be, you know, I'd like to be confident speaking to people. I'd like to feel comfortable in my own skin. I'd like to give off good vibes, you know. I'd like to be personable, like to be the kind of guy that people would come to for, you know, for consultation or, you know, helping them with advice or whatever. I mean, all of these different things. And like, so once you start to think about the cool things that you want from your life, like the real, honest, truthful things that you want in your life, and it's like, so you start to work towards those things. But the idea is that, you know, you're self-aware, like you've spent the time thinking about yourself, you're being introspective, and you're being you know, you're examining who you are and what you want to be. You know, think about things that have hurt you in the past, or think about things that you know, you haven't gotten the results. Then you would say, okay, well, I don't want to be the person that has those kind of situations or those kind of results. I want to be better. And so once you know where you are and where you're going, once you're more self-aware, it'll make it a lot easier to start hitting that direction. It's like, you know, first you got to point yourself in the right direction, then you can go where you want to go. And that's really what we're talking about here. Okay. So like I said, what do you think about all this? I've talked and talked and talked, and I've given you all these different ideas about flexibility and true self-expression. Like, do you see how these things are starting to fit together? You know, each one of these little steps along the way is going to build every other step. It's going to be a cumulative growth, simply because you're taking one step, and that one step you're taking leads to the next step. And you know, as long as you continue to see positive growth or whatever, you just are naturally going to stay on that path. And once you've started getting, you know, some real tangible results, then like you'll be beside yourself about how much better things are going to be getting. Like you'll be excited about what comes next. Anyway, if you want to be part of that journey with me, definitely leave a comment. Or I'm still waiting for somebody to leave a comment on a live stream. It's coming, I'm sure. I'm starting to get some traction, some people watching the videos, or excuse me, the live stream playlists. So I'm starting to see people watch those, and so hopefully they're going to start watching the live streams, and they're going to come in and start talking about the stuff we want to talk about, and really start making some progress. Also, if you know anybody who would like to hear these messages that I'm sharing or whatever, please send them the link to this video, or let them know about the playlist. Um, yeah, there's a lot of personal growth and uh, inner game development and whatnot it's about to commence. So yeah, definitely, the more the merrier. Okay, and also if you're getting value from this video, definitely make sure that you leave a like. Also, once again, leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. If you do like the idea of the live streams and you want to join in, subscribe and make sure to turn on the notification bell so that the YouTube notifies you when I go live, which is normally around 7:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Anyway, so the bottom line of all of the things that we've talked about tonight is a clearer understanding of self brings clarity and direction. Once you start expressing yourself better, once you become more confident in the way that you're acting with people, so that you feel more flexible, confident, resilient, all of these things, will make you just feel better about yourself. Once you start to feel better about yourself, like you can move forward, like in the knowledge that you're on the right track. A lot of people are confused, and it's because you don't spend any time thinking about really what you want or where you want to be. And once you just spend a little bit of time there, all the rest of this is going to come henceforth, I think. Okay, and like I mentioned, tomorrow night we're gonna no, we're not gonna wrap up. I've actually got 3 more, but we are going to talk about moral courage and optimism, and ways that those can help you develop your inner game and be a much better representative of who you actually are and start feeling awesome. Okay, let's see if I have any more slides. Yeah, just the live stream side. Anyway, so that's where we are. Hopefully some of this was helpful. Like I said, I never intended to be spending 45 minutes to an hour each night talking about these things. So I feel like I'm talking around in circles. But the idea here is that like there's 9 little ideas about what comprises inner game, and if you get all of these things, if you like peg the meter, like you're just going to be the best person in the world, period. But even if you just make little steps towards improving them, even just 1% each, each week or whatever, I mean, things are going to be like they'll accumulate like these benefits, and suddenly you'll really start seeing results. And if you're in a situation, like if you're a person that has been kind of or shy, or kind of down on yourself or whatever, it's like once you start seeing how the world treats you, and you start feeling better about yourself, allowing yourself to kind of come out of that shell that you beat yourself into or whatever, that's really when this is going to take off and just like I said, blow your mind. I guarantee that if you do even any of these things, like even one simple thing that I talk about here in any of these live streams, like your life is just going to start getting better. It just is gonna. Anyway, so that's what we're here for. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap it up. But thank you for joining me tonight. Next time you show up, please leave a comment, say hello, let me know what you're thinking, how you're doing. And otherwise, we're going to wrap it up for the night. So take it easy. See you tomorrow night.